a lot going on in the public health sphere. Okay, just this week and really in the past couple of weeks, there's somewhat, I would consider, chaos at the Center for Disease Control right now. 7 of the past directors of the CDC have written an op-ed saying that RFK Jr., who is the head of Health and Human Services right now, he's a member of the cabinet, in Trump's cabinet, that this man is actually hurting Americans. It's somewhat unprecedented op-ed. And not only that, but there's been a letter with over 1,000 HHS employees. They wrote that to RFK Jr., kind of sounding the alarm, saying that, your leadership, Mr. Secretary, has put the health of all Americans at risk and demanded his resignation. The authors of the op-ed were directors from Democratic and Republican administrations. So that in itself is news. And then, of course, you had the hearings today in the Senate with RFK Jr. Did you see any of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, he couldn't answer basic scientific questions. But you know what I also saw, Amy, is that the far right was touting that he did so well because he's fighting big pharma. Now they've changed this back to this conspiratorial line, but he was, and I got to hear the weirdness, the heavy breathing that he was doing and things like that. I actually went and watched some of it, and he's got issues. And, to have a hoodoo witch doctor in charge of HHS, I think is not a great look for the United States, but I also think he has probably health issues. I also believe that the far right's going to have a tough time with this. He's got to go. He's going to kill people. And there's going to be a lot of people dying. It's going to be children because, there's an ignoramus type of line going on right now. It's sort of metastasized. We talk about metastasizing pandemics. Right now it's stupidity and ignorance. And this administration is really, I think, perpetuating that pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, it's not funny. And we are weakening our country and our people against cancer, against heart attacks, against lead poisoning, against measles. Just before we came on, I watched a clip of a Republican senator who was on CNN with Casey Hunt, and his argument is that only non-citizen kids can contract measles. I mean, what kind of level of galactically stupid are we right now? It's just going to hurt people, and it's based on this flawed research, unscientific people that are now leading what was once the world standard of public health in terms of agencies in the CDC and in HHS. It's terrible.
But Amy, Mark Wayne, I know Mark Wayne Mullen pretty well. Some of my people went to work for him when he went to the Senate, who used to work for me a long time ago. When I first met Mark Wayne, he seemed like he was marginally sane. He was in the House then. He wasn't in the Senate. And so to watch him now, it is the same as I've seen with a lot of my other former colleagues who I thought were sane have completely, gone over to the side of, of a cult. And that cult, people want to say the Trump cult, but it's like the cult of Elmer's glue. I mean, I don't know if they sniff it every morning or what's going on. But also, I don't know how you could be so critical, Amy, because Mark Wayne did do the Bobby and Pete push-up and pull-up challenge.
Congrats.
So I don't know how you could be so critical of somebody so studly as to have done that.
Yeah, it's sad that's the measure of leadership. How many pull-ups can you do incorrectly? I might add, incorrectly. But hey, realistically though, this is really important. When you cut funding for the CDC, when you take out and fire the experts, when you come out with bogus claims about vaccines, it hurts Americans. It hurts rural communities. It hurts children. It hurts families. We have some of the best experts in the world. The past 80 years has been some of the greatest achievements in public health in the world happening here in the United States. Life expectancy rates gone up. We eradicated smallpox. We eradicated polio. My mother is a polio survivor. Mitch McConnell, I ran against him. He's a polio survivor.
Yes, that's right.
These like
right.
vaccine, the anti-vax push is just it's insane. Smallpox killed 500 million people before vaccines. Measles killed 300 million people, and right now we're being led by the crazies.
George Washington believed in the smallpox vaccine, right? And if you go all the way back, the downstream effects of stupid are usually terminal, and people die, and that's what you're looking at RFK Jr. and things like that. But what's happened in Florida? Did you see what happened in Florida, Amy? Under DeSantis, right? I think it was what's the name of that individual?
The head of the Florida Surgeon General or something.
The Surgeon General, but I was trying to remember his name. I apologize. I don't remember. It just sort of left me. It's a product of age. But
nobody wants to remember him now.
No, they don't. But he just said, right, that no child, no body, right, that there actually was no children would have mandatory vaccines going into school. They shouldn't be forced to have any vaccines. And for those who believe in vaccinations and science, that means that the parents of the children, that are vaxxed, they're going to have to worry about these unvaxxed clusters of children. And then when you get weird statistics out there, and I don't know if one of you sent that to me, where now it says as far as mandatory vaccinations, I think it's gone from 80 to 50% where the American public believe it. The downstream effect of ignorance and populism are these type of things, which you see happening in Florida. And my guess is, as kids start to die, I do wonder what happens with these health systems as adults and kids start to die because of lack of vaccinations. It's going to happen. It's a scientific fact. And that's what's interesting to me, and also tragic, is that downstream effect is now in Florida, and it's going to keep going. You have the states that are trying to outlaw mRNA vaccines. I know you've heard about that too, Amy. All this is happening because of a couple things. One is the Epstein files, distractions, but the second thing is the 2026 midterms. And I think they're doing polling, and I think they're looking at far red right districts, and those districts are very anti-vax. And I think that's why you're seeing this big push is for the 2026 midterms.
Well, it's sad because it's going to hurt people. And I also think, we don't, on this show, we don't always want to just throw stones at what's going on. There's a lot of badness going on, and this is one of them. But I often think about, look, the fact that in recent years, the CDC has been villainized, and many Americans don't believe it. They feel like there's too much politics. In other words, people who lean right, when Biden's in the White House, they think the CDC is after them, or the FEMA is not, giving them disaster relief because they're in a red area. And then likewise, you see it on the other side too. And for right or wrong, that appears to be where we're going in terms of the trust of the American people. And I think that some of these agencies, it's so important for their mission that the American people trust them. And so one of the ideas I had, was let's try to make them independent. I never would have thought this like 10 years ago. We probably didn't need it, but we have some pseudo independent agencies like the Fed, like the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. And maybe we need to do that for the CDC. Maybe we need to take it completely out of the hands of the executive branch or the president being able to fire people or tinker with people, and have that be its own independent agency where it can have actual experts that, aren't going to change what they say based on the midterms.
Imagine the paradigm shift, Amy, where me and you were talking about the CDC, never think there's a president or executive branch who would be anti-vax to a level that we're seeing today. And I know we had talked, there's so many important things that we have to cover, in this live show. And I know that people are excited to be on here. But what really, really scares me, Amy, is where does this go from here? It's not going to get better over the next 3.5 years with Trump in the White House. And I think you're right about an independent CDC. But how do we even get that across the line, with a Congress that's Republican dominated right now? And I think that's the big fear. I mean, I shouldn't say Republican dominated.
You couldn't do it right now. You'd have to do it in the future. You'd have
In
to
the
have
future.
smart people in office that say
Well,
enough is enough, and
did you just say
I
smart
know,
people in
I know,
office, Amy?
but that's what we have to do.
I listen, facts-based individuals. I was trying to think of something during COVID, and I was wondering, what happened in COVID where so many people emerged from that cave, absolutely lost their mind. And I don't know if the stupid people are like cheese and they just get more and more mold on them as they sit in their cool apartments over the years or something. But I think we're to a point now that we have to think after COVID, something broke in the minds of people who are already credulous and ignorant. And, you had QAnon and COVID sort of come together in this sort of toxic meatball, right, of conspiracies. And, COVID was just a downstream effect of QAnon, which the January 6th, stolen election conspiracy theories were a downstream effect of QAnon. Then you had COVID and the anti-vaxxers, which were before QAnon. But again, there's this permission structure for crazy. And if the sane and those who believe in reality don't fight back, we're going to be in a place that's so dire and awful in the next year based on health, based on the economy, based on foreign policy and politics, based on, illegal maneuvers, right? And based on us doing stupid stuff like, are we going to change the name of every single organization, every single department in the United States, which I know you want to get to. So, I mean, we have crossed the Rubicon into insanity.